So going back to, how I build out my program and this portion of it from here on out is actually something I sit down with our staff at least once, if not a couple times during the year, and make sure that they understand what my focus is, how I'm complementing what we're doing on the court. Because at the end of the day, and again, I go back to it's not about me, but I make sure that these guys understand that I'm an extension of them. At no point ever in my career has it been or will it be the Pat Murphy show. I could care less. It's not about me. Like, egos have no room or there's no room for egos anywhere in our profession. It's really not. And to explain and teach to our coaching staff kind of why we do what we do, I think it goes a long way, and I'd highly encourage anybody out there that doesn't do it to do it. If you feel like sometimes maybe you're not on steady ground with your coaches, this is a good way to get there. It really is, and to make sure that there's some interaction and some understanding of why we're doing what we were doing, and again, like, to tell the coaches, like, hey, when you do this is what system you're working, right? So this is how I do it, and obviously some of this stuff is literally over my head. I had to go back and teach myself this stuff, but these are three main systems that we're digging into during our season, during practices, during the game. So for me, it's easy to explain it with video. So this is what I show our coaches, and basically say, this is what the alactic system looks like. So anything in transition, a fast-paced, maximal effort, lots of starts and stops, and change of possession. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing to play. Hopefully it'll play for you guys. But this is what it looks like. Obviously, this is a very fast team, and this is how we play. We try to speed you up and force a quick shot. Boom. That's a little less than maybe 8 seconds, something like that. But that's explosive. That's alactic, and that's something that when the guys want to understand why are we doing old-fashioned speed training, that's why. Because I want to win every 50-50 ball there is, right? If we can beat a guy to a spot, cut him off. If we can get out on a break and we can beat their big down the floor and get easy dunks, get our 21,000 fans involved, we've got a very special thing going. Secondly, and probably our most used energy system is that lactic, that threshold area, kind of high to moderate intervals. You're looking at 2 to 4 continuous possessions without any stoppages of play. So here we go on a make free throw. They get it in. Turn them over quick. Everybody's out. Boom. Drop off, dunk, right back into the press. They're sped up. They're trying to run it right back at us. Slow them down a little bit with our press. Boom, right back at it. Pushing. Guys running the floor. You see 13 right there, runs out, gets out in transition, opens up the floor for our guard. And then obviously the way Carolina plays, everybody knows they want to come right back at you. They get it in. Boom, right back into a ball screen, get downhill. I mean, that's 5 continuous trips right there. No break. I mean, you see Coach Keith there on the sidelines, push. This is where most of the game is played. So understanding that and understanding that this is a demand of the body that you have to train and you have to prepare for. Oh, Kobe White, he wasn't terrible. Cheap. Got him for carrying. So there it is. So then lastly, and I won't play this video, but obviously you're aerobic. So, right, walk it up, slower pace. You'll rarely see us playing this pace. I know Mike is presenting later. I used to work for Coach Brownell at UNCW, and when he was at Wilmington, he used to love to play in the 40s and 50s, just slow it down, walk it up the floor, just absolute, just war in the paint, play deliberate and basically similar to how Virginia plays now, right? That's going to be more your aerobic, slow to moderate, but obviously with your pushes, your hard cuts, your starts and stops. So moving forward, then we go into our injury considerations, and this is kind of the stuff that we have to make sure that we're always keeping in our minds, keeping in the forefront when we're designing programs and putting together any assessments, right? Again, going back to my athletic training slide is, the best ability is availability. So if we can minimize these, your itises and your osises, if we can minimize these and identify them early, the more ahead of the game you're going to be, right? So, obviously your big areas are going to be your knees, your ankles, your low backs. One thing going to the low back that I lean on a lot, just with a little bit of my golf background, being TPI level 2, and I actually train golf here, is something I've seen is the more mobile you can make an athlete's thoracic, the less tendency you hear them complain about lower back issues. Just kind of that whole idea of above and below the joint, right? The pain only presents itself above and below the joint. I don't want to get too much on a soapbox, but I put question mark there next to ankle mobility. And I'd like to get some feedback from some of you guys across the country. I battle with this one a lot. I screen closed chain dorsiflexion, and a lot of our guys are limited. And when I say limited, I've always leaned on the literature of 35 degrees minimum for a bilateral squat, and I believe it's either 40 or 40, maybe 45 degrees for a pistol squat is what's recommended. But one thing I've found is with our guys that do have that limited range of motion, that limited dorsiflexion, those guys are normally my twitchiest, my stiffest guys that change direction very well. They're typically our fastest guys. A lot of times they're our best leapers. They're our best jumpers. It's one of those rabbit holes that I'm always hesitant to chase down. I guess I have a fear of, well, what if, so for instance, I'll paint a picture for you. So if I got a kid that's presenting with some tendonitis or nosis in his knee, right? And I check his dorsiflexion and he's like 28, okay? So now I'm thinking in my mind, if I can open up this ankle a little bit or pass him, refer out, because that's not my area, but get him to our PT, get him to our athletic trainer, whoever it might be, and say, hey, I really think that if we free this kid's ankle up, will his knee pain go away? And again, maybe it's a guess, I don't know. But one thing that terrifies me is, what if I take a kid who's a 38 to 42 inch jumper, and I find him some ankle mobility, and now all of a sudden he's less of an athlete because of it. Like, what if all of a sudden he's not the guy he was before because I went and chased ankle mobility in an attempt to get him out of knee pain? I'm kind of torn there, because at the end of the day, leaning on do no harm, one of my biggest things is if a guy's in pain, you gotta take his word for it, and you gotta do your damnedest to get him out of it. So it's a tough one for me. I'd like some feedback if anybody wants to share, kind of their approach and kind of what their thoughts are. I'm open to all of it. So then moving forward, you take those injury considerations, and then, here's what we do from an assessment and a performance testing standpoint. So I'll team up with our nutrition and our athletic trainer, and we'll all three of us do this together. So we'll get in there, we'll get their bod pod when they first get there, and we'll do that between 2 and 3 times a year. We'll use the pain clearance tests from the FMS, for the shoulder impingement, the prone press up, and the rock back. From a mobility standpoint, we'll do the active straight leg raise and, like I said earlier, closed chain dorsiflexion. For motor control, I'll actually use the TPI level 1 bridge with leg extension. So you'll double bridge them up, bilateral bridge them up, and then you'll extend one leg, keep the knees locked, and we'll go a 10-second hold. And what you're looking for is just any weakness, any loss of posture, any loss of that angle that they've set. And then for functional patterning, we'll use the overhead squat, and we'll do the breakouts with it if anybody fails that. And then we'll use the Y balance test, lower quarter and upper quarter. From a strength standpoint, depending upon the individual, we'll determine whether I squat them, front squat them, safety bar squat them, trap bar deadlift them. Just depending upon their limitations. Again, same thing with the bench. I'm not fixated on, hey, we've got to do a barbell bench. If it fits somebody with long levers to do a floor press or just something to keep consistent and go back to, maybe a slight incline barbell press or a slight incline dumbbell bench. If I can max them out with the barbell, I'm obviously going to do that. But just something to go back to, and again, go back to that audit, right? And then we'll do a chin up, a weighted chin up for weight from a dead hang. From there, I'll actually bring in Brett Brungart from BAM, and he'll do our combine testing for us. So he'll do his typical counter movement jumps and his max verts, his 3/4 court sprint. I'll do the 10-yard acceleration test on the days that I do my strength testing. Brett will do the BAM lane agility and the reaction drill. And then our two big fitness tests that I use are our Celtic run, 3-minute run. How many baselines can you touch in 3 minutes? Ideally, we're looking for guards somewhere in that ideally 28 range, 26 to 28 range. Posts, depending upon who they are. We tend to recruit that longer, lankier guy that runs the floor well. We'll play a 4-guard system that, pretty much everybody runs like deer. So we'll keep them in that same standard, maybe, 24 to 26 on that Celtic run. And then my ladder, I won't test that often, but I will lean on that to condition when we need to. Like Robert was saying earlier, how game-like can you make it, right? Getting on a treadmill or getting on a rower or a Versa climber, doing some interval stuff, that's great. But, steady state stuff, I don't know how much play that has in what we do. So my ladder will do a 1, a 3, a 5, a 7, and then back down 5, 3, 1. So going back, I've hit on this a little bit, but, the keys to success for us, first and foremost, do no harm. First, and you think about everything. You think about a kid's future. You think about his parents and their trust in you. You think about the coaching staff and understand that guys are coming to be basketball players. They're not coming to be Olympic lifters, power lifters, bodybuilders. They're not doing that. You're you're using all those tools. But at the end of the day, how well can you prepare them and keep them healthy, feeling mobile, feeling loose, feeling great about their game. Considerations for me, we play physical. We play very active defense. So for me, the ability to accelerate, decelerate, being agile, being well conditioned. I hit on, we play a 4 to 5 guards at a time. We switch 1 through 4, 1 through 5 a lot. So, guys have to be strong enough to handle their own if they get switched on a big, if they're an undersized guy. And then on the flip side of the coin, our posts have to be quick enough, nimble enough, balanced enough to, if they get switched out, like on that video on a Colby White, you've got to be able to keep them in front of you and force them to take a tough contested too. And then last but not least for me, going back to that accountability piece, man. Accountability, discipline, consistency. That's toughness. That's how we define it. That's what we lean on. How well are you recovering? This is how you recover. Now go do it. Now go execute it. This is how you fuel. Now go do it. This is what quality sleep, quality hydration, everything looks like. Now go do it, right? And then, in my area and all of our area, quality is always going to supersede quantity, right? Like, you think about like moving over matches type idea. I'll fight that one to the death. Like, quality reps lead to quality sets, and quality sets, lead to quality days.